So this is my right-hand drive Cherokee. It's a 95. Got a lot of work left to do on it, but this one's got some suspension I designed for drag racing. So it's, if you can see it, it's a parallel 4-link, and it's sitting on airbags. I don't think it'll focus enough to see. Airbags are obviously not aired up right now. But yeah, that's a project I've been working on for quite a while. It's been through a few different stages, but has an air tank there. I need to finish repainting it. And then it has a cutout. And then when that cutout's not engaged, it goes through a Dynamax. And then another resonator, and it makes it a lot quieter. This guy's got a supercharged stroker that I built. So this one, again, a lot of the stuff is ugly. I've just been prototyping some stuff, and then once I develop a part that I'm ready to sell, then I'll probably install a better one on this. Maybe not. This stuff works, but I don't like the detachable steering wheels where you have to hang it up somewhere else. This one's nice because it has a little lever. You pop that and it flips up out of your way. So you can have a nice racing seat like these, and they won't cause your legs to be up so high that you hit the steering wheel getting in and out of it. But these are paddle shifters. Right now they're using micro switches. I'd like to go to some Hall effect sensors. These also have the magnets. They're actually from a simulator setup, video games and stuff. But yeah, I like the steering wheel. It's a Momo, and then got the lever so you can flip it up to get in and out. And then I have a couple gauges here that I want. Most of my stuff is done digitally, but a couple gauges I want to keep eyes on for things that are more important. I need to make a little mount for these guys, but obviously oil pressure is pretty important. And then I just always want to be able to see my fuel. Not super important, but yeah, and then boost, and then air fuel ratio. And then this is a touch screen. It's controlled temporarily by a microcomputer that just slides in the stereo slot. And I'll eventually just use a little module that I'll make with an Arduino and just code it to take in all the analog inputs, convert it to digital, and then send it to this. And then I'll also have another screen. I'm going to replace this one with another screen that controls my air suspension. So right now this is just I should have brought my key, but this is for the paddle shifter, so it connects to the solenoids. So these ugly switches here. I have one Arduino that runs the transmission when I want to use the paddle shifters to go up and down. So in that mode, I'll just use, so I have a ratchet shifter. It's a B&M. So I can also use it just as like a automatic fast ratchet shifting, or I can just leave it in drive, and then I automatically have control. I can flip this and it'll send power to my Arduino, and it's just coded for the right outputs of the solenoid. So it has 4 solenoids, and it controls first through fourth and overdrive using those. So then each gear will just be controlled by that. When I give an input up or down, then that just sends the signals to actuate the correct solenoids on the transmission to give me the gear that I want. And electronically controlling it is actually pretty quick. So it shifts like a normally paddle shifted car would. The only difference is most Tiptronic transmissions actually have a couple extra solenoids, so they control hydraulic circuits that will allow you to use engine braking. So right now, the only one that has hydraulic pressure on D-cell is third gear. So I'd like to have this more of a racing setup. So I actually have a transmission from a Toyota Supra, and it has 6 solenoids in it, and it allows you to hydraulically control all the gears to send hydraulic pressure to them, so that you can actually have engine braking. So when I downshift, it's still holding instead of just freewheeling until I give it gas, and it sends hydraulic pressure to it, if that makes sense. So Yeah, this one's cool because it's actually selectable all-wheel drive. So it has four-wheel drive, but it also has an all-time all-wheel drive. So this has an MP242 transfer case, which I'm going to keep, and I'm going to bolt it up to the Super transmission. I had to do a lot of research on that because the Super transmission is an A340E. This version, it has like a 30-40 LS part number on it that just goes into the Tiptronic portion of it. But as far as like the bell housing goes, and the tail housing, the bolt pattern's the same. It's just the output shaft that's different. So I think I can keep the output shaft of this AW4 transmission, put it in that Super transmission, unbolt the tail housing because the Super was two-wheel drive, and then put this transfer case on it, and I should be good to go on that. And then I'll just rebuild this transfer case so it's nice and beefy and has a fresh rebuild on it when I throw it in here so it can handle all the power. But then also with that, this engine, I only modified this hood to clear it, and then this hood is actually going to go on my other Jeep that I'll show you in the shop. But that one is going to get this supercharged stroker. It actually had this engine originally in it. So that black Jeep in there, I bought it with a hole in the side of the block. So I got a new engine, rebuilt it. Or actually, no, I didn't even rebuild it. I just freshened it up with some new seals and stuff. Just threw it in there, and then I supercharged it. Was doing a bunch of tuning on it. It ended up blowing up. I had a bit of a lean condition on cylinder 6, and it was due to the manifold that was on this shitty, it was like a one-off supercharger manifold that some guy designed, and it was ass. I overpaid for it, and I regret it. But anyway, blew that engine up, pulled it out, built it into a forged stroker, and then supercharged it again, and I had it in there, but then I ended up tearing it down because I have 1-ton axles. I'll tell you more about that when I get in there. But so then there's the truck, which I do like. It's just, well, not as fun to drive as these shit boxes. These are some parts. I'll show you the truck that's in there as well. I'm doing a mid-engine K24 swap on that one. So I'm gonna redo these sides. I'm thinking of just doing like either fiberglass or a carbon fiber if I can get that cheap enough, and just making the shape of these. But I do like the design on them, the graphics and everything. It's the rest of the truck has the matching graphics, so I want to keep those if I can, kind of replicate that. And then the tailgate for it. And those are a bunch of parts I ripped out of some cars, and then this was a donor vehicle. I still got some parts to take off of it, but mostly wanted the transmission as a 5-speed manual, and then I wanted the subframe and CV axles and the hubs and all that, so I pulled all of that off. So I'm just keeping it for now. Then the power steering rack too is kind of a bit different, so I saved that. And this is an axle out of the other truck that's in here, the same one where I had those pieces to the bed. So yeah, this is a freaking disaster, but this is a 2JZ head. It's a VVTi head, so this is, it's a 2JZ GE VVTi head, and then I bought the engine block that came with the non-VVTi head because it actually had thicker rods in it. So if you get certain years of the non-VVTi 2JZ, you get the thicker rods and everything. So I redid this. There's a little bit of that Dicam layout fluid that I was using when I was resurfacing this, and then I have some rings in here. I'm just gapping those right now. But this engine is going to go in that green Jeep when that supercharged engine goes back into that black Jeep. I powder coated this, so that was quite a bit of work, and then I kind of finished this a little bit. I'm going to clean it one more time. I got to throw the rods on there. I just had the crank, I pulled that out, polished it and everything. Got the main caps, new bearings, and then cleaned up the camshafts. And then I got the VVTi cam gear, and then I have an extra non-VVTi cam gear. I'm going to run VVTi, it's the variable valve timing. It'll allow me to tune a bit more and get more power out of it, especially low end. And then did a deep cleaning on those rods. So these are definitely pretty beefy rods since they're the non-VVTi. They're the same rods that they put in the 2JZ GTE, which is the turbocharged Supra engine. And then cleaned the pistons up and everything. Started assembling them, but once I get the rings all gapped, I'll be able to actually put the pistons in. So I'm kind of waiting on that. Those are all the old rings. But I have new ones to throw on there. What else do I got here? No, these are some parts for a K24 that I'll show you. They're all forged parts that I got from a guy that didn't end up building an engine, but they're going to go in this truck right here for that build. And then this is the head off of, there's a Suzuki over there. It's a Sidekick. So I just resurfaced that one and then just tested, made sure the valves are sealing properly. I'm probably going to do a quick valve lapping on them anyway, because I have to pull the valve springs off. Because the kit I got for resealing the top end and the head gasket, I bought this with a blown head gasket. That kit came with new valve seals. I don't think I'll have this engine in there for too long, but I have a hard time putting things back together if I have, seals and stuff that I could do. So even if it only stays in that car for a year before I swap it out to the diesel one I want to put in it, I have a hard time putting it back together with a bunch of junk. So I'll probably go through, clean it a bit more, make it look nice and pretty. And then these are just a bunch of parts for the 2JZ build. But that 2JZ, that'll be a turbocharged engine that'll be in the green one, which is kind of cool because if you're into the JDM stuff, the 2JZ is, Japanese domestic market JDM stuff. And with that, the right-hand drive Supras and stuff, like that's a pretty common thing. But it's not common to have a Jeep Cherokee that's right-hand drive. So I thought that was kind of cool. And there are surprisingly a lot of parts between the transmission and transfer case and all that were used in similar vehicles. Like Toyota actually used the AW4 as an Aisin Warner transmission, and it's a 4-speed. They had the same exact transmission behind the 2JZs and 1JZs. They just called it an A340, A340E. They had a few different variations of it, and then the A343. But yeah, anyway, it's common enough to use, or they're similar enough that you can actually use a lot of the internal components of them if you get the right valve body set up on it. So I find that stuff interesting, but this is kind of a mess going on over here. I used the drill press quite a bit. I was using it for drilling some spindles to do some test fitting on this. But yeah, this is a 80, God, I can't remember. I have a Ford Ranger in the garage. It's either an 87 or an 89. And then this is whatever one that one's not. One's an 87, one's an 89. Bought this with the blown head gasket. Didn't have any plans to actually replace that head gasket and get it going that way. The kid, he bought a whole new head because the other one was warped and he said it was going to cost too much to have it resurfaced. And the heads for these are super cheap. So I have a new head for it, but I'm going to do a rear engine setup, or a mid-engine actually. I'm going to shorten the wheelbase a little bit and then make the new bed panels and everything, but the engine's going to be back here. I think it'll be a pretty sweet setup. I'll still have some bed space back there, but it'll be pretty much just a lightweight drift truck. Gutted the interior, but it'll stay manual. I'll just have the shift cable going instead of, everything going up there. It'll go back here. Sorry, my kid was out there yelling. Anyway, this will be a cool setup. Mid-engine, remove the engine from the front completely. I have most of it pulled out. And then the transmission, I need to pull that out too. But I'll just throw that shit away. It's not worth anything. And I got those seats out of a Mazda Speed 3. And since this is a Mazda B2000, even though seats like that didn't exist when this was built, I thought it would look pretty cool in there. I'll swap the steering wheel out, maybe. Maybe I'll leave that. But this will be a pretty fun truck. I'm pretty excited about that. I've always liked small trucks. They're just really fun to drive. And then this Jeep, I don't know if you've ever seen pictures. I'll try and send you some pictures of it. I got these 1-ton axles for it. Got them like a year and a half ago and started tearing this thing down and just haven't gotten back to this. It's quite the project. I need to clean up this area here, clean up that panel, and then this is the exhaust So I had a side exit exhaust and I had a flange that went here to make it look a lot nicer. But this one's this was my first Jeep that I really started building, and man, this is making me miss it. I did quite a bit of work to the interior. I completely gutted the interior on this thing. I did Dynomat everywhere. And then I need to repaint these fender flares, but that was a lot of work to get those fender flares and open up the wheel well, because these Cherokees have pretty small wheel wells from the factory. This thing's in sad shape. I've borrowed a lot of parts from it. The seats in that green one used to be in here, and I'm going to put them back in here because I want to get different seats for the green one. Because those seats in the green one are actually suspension seats. They're designed for off-roading. That's why they have like a weird bolster piece that goes between your legs. It's uncomfortable at first, but when you're getting tossed around off-road, it's pretty comfortable. It holds you right in place. And then the bottom of it's also designed to be suspended slightly, so it actually has some cushion in it. So when you hit big bumps and stuff, it soaks up some of that. So I want to get different racing seats for that orange or the green one. I think you used to have a Cherokee. I can't remember what year it was, but yeah, depending on what year. Well, this might look pretty familiar too. I got some tweeters in there. This one has Alpine speakers, and then under the seat I actually have, can't remember if I pulled those out or not. See, I've got two subwoofers, or two amplifiers, my bad. So I had a 12-inch sub that I put in the back, and then I had some Milwaukee pack-out drawers that would be perfect for off-roading, and I'd strap those down right here. They have a bunch of extra parts and tools and stuff in them. And then, yeah, I have my sound system, have the Alpine Type R speakers all around, and then I have the components up front, so it has the separate tweeters and mid-range and that, but Alpine head unit. I'm actually not a fan of touchscreens anymore. I thought it'd be cool, so I got like the high-end Alpine touchscreen, all that. They're okay. I like the simpler stereos. If it has like wireless CarPlay and Android Auto, that'd be sweet. But I care much more about the sound quality than I do the features in it, because I just don't use many of them. So this one doesn't have an engine. It still has a transmission right now. Once I get those axles under it, I just need to build all new arms and redesign that suspension to get it to sit where I want it. And this is a bumper for the Suzuki Sidekick. So that head that was over there, I just cleaned everything off. I just need to clean the surfaces on the exhaust and intake manifolds there. And while I have it apart this far, I'll probably just yank the injectors out. I have an injector flow tester, and it does like reverse flushing. So I need to get that set back up onto a workbench, but that thing's pretty cool. I can do up to 6 injectors at a time, which is perfect for most of the stuff I work on. And it's kind of therapeutic just watching that thing go too, as it's cycling those injectors. This is a big ass compressor. I need to figure out what I'm going to do with it. Had plans for it, and then it just sat here with everything else going on, and this compressor works. It just doesn't put out as much air as this could, obviously, and I could use the extra air. Yeah, the shop's a mess. I moved a lot of the bins off the shelf over there to try and clean, and didn't end up finishing cleaning this side, and I haven't really done much with it. This back area is kind of more my fabrication area, and then this table's just moving stuff around that I'm trying to organize right now. And then got a big like 1/4-inch slab of steel over there. And I need to finish building this welding cart. So I've got my TIG welder that does MIG as well, and stick, and then that's the water cooler for it, and I've got a couple tanks. I'm just using a dolly to transport. Got a couple over there too. That was this big metal piece over here is actually a welding cart, so I'm going to have casters on the bottom, and then probably I like those Milwaukee pack outs. They're perfect to just pull in and out as you need. And then I'll have the welder and water cooler up here so I can access them. And I just have all my tools and stuff there. And then on the back, I'll have my tanks sitting up here. And then I extended these just to have racks and probably some gussets to help support this. So I have all open underneath. And I just have the supports coming here. And then I can hang like angle grinders and that kind of stuff on it. I was using this Milwaukee cart as my welding cart forever ago. So I used to have my welders under that, and it worked okay. I just have my angle grinders there. Back here's my CNC plasma table. I drained the water out of it because I was going to clean it. This is borax. Just helps keep all the sediment in the water and crystallizes everything. But yeah, it's the plasma table, and I have a little computer over there with the tablet to run it, or a monitor. That's a kegerator over there. And then that's my fabricating table. Hey, stop. You don't hit her. That's my plasma cutter. This is my powder coating booth. I can probably throw a light on. Oh, I shut that breaker off. Never mind. So that's my powder coating system. The gun for it's down there, and it's a disaster. But this is just a makeshift. I used a furnace and then put a Kenworth semi-truck air filter on it, and it just draws all the powder to keep it from making a mess in the shop. And I got all those lights up there. And I have all these white panels that when I figure out the exact shape that I'm going to finish it in, I'll put all the white panels up there to help reflect the light, so I have really good lighting in there. And then this is going to be a teardown table. It was in a restaurant, and I ended up getting it for free. And I'm just going to put some tanks in here with some cleaning solution. And this was a powder coating oven. I built it when it was in my garage, but I've had to modify it because it's been kind of a pain to use in here with a lot of the heavy stuff that I roll in there, like that engine block. So I cut the floor out in it and pulled it off the casters and set it right on the concrete. And then there's just a sheet of galvanized steel there that I can easily roll up on with casters. Use like a forklift or something. This is a sandblast cabinet. That's a garage heater. I need to hang that. And this is the excuse me. That's a dust collection system. Yeah, it works pretty well. It's massive. It's 6 feet tall inside here, and then 6 feet deep, 6 feet wide. And you can put something on that turntable that weighs 1,500 pounds. That's what it's rated at. And then there's some tracks that attach to this. And I don't have the table for it, but there's a table that comes out, and you can just roll that whole thing out here and then use a crane to lift the heavy part and all that. But this is obviously industrial. They're normally like 25 grand. I didn't actually need anything this big, but a guy had it listed for, I think he was asking like 1,000, and I think I got him down to like 800 or 900. So $900 versus 25,000. I couldn't pass it up, but it is massive. And then I had to do some weird stuff here to try and get the system to work correctly, so it actually filters the media and reuses any of the good stuff, and then the particles that are too small, it'll carry up there and will just be waste. And then this is just kind of storage area for now. This was a loft area for Oliver to hang up, so I have a little ladder there. Here's one of the, so this is a K24A2. That's the engine I'm going to use for the higher power stuff. I had a supercharger for it. That's what I was planning on using, but I think with the transmission and everything, that's going to have too much low end torque. So I'm going to set this up with a larger turbo that still has very little lag, but it'll come on a bit later than the supercharger and hopefully save the drivetrain from exploding. Yeah, there's the camshaft to the Suzuki over here. So this one's pretty close to finished. I'm probably going to finish this one here really soon. I'm hoping to get that head on there today if Oliver allows me to. I have some extra stuff over here. This is just an automatic GM transmission. It's a 4L80E. And these are the big brakes. Those are from a WJ. I had them on the black Jeep. I'm going to put them on the green one since I'm swapping axles. Drilled and slotted rotors. And then this is the setup out of the Civic. Yeah, this one's out of the Civic. So this one's a K20 A3. Transmission's good. There are a few other parts I could use off of it. The exhaust header and stuff I could probably use. And then the hubs and everything, just need to get new bearings. Could use the CV axles. And then, so that one's a 5-speed manual transmission. This is a K24 A8. It's a weird one. I got it out of an Acura RSX, and it has the X2M5 transmission, which is a manual 6-speed. That's the good one. I'm going to put a Quaife limited slip diff in that, and then that's going to be set up on that K24 A2 when I build that. But yeah, that one had the K24 A8 is actually a Honda Accord engine. I bought this because I wanted the transmission, but I also wanted the head off of the engine it was supposed to be. The Acura RSX it came out of should have had a K20, so it's a 2-liter, and it should have been the K20 A2, which is the good head that you can use on a K24, any of the K24s really, but yeah, so that's why, one of the reasons I wanted that. Luckily it came with enough extra stuff that I still felt good about it. I got a good deal on it, but it's just a Honda Accord engine, so it's nothing special. This is the original engine out of the green Jeep. And I bought that one. It was not running. It sat in a field for years and got it running, but it was just kind of a weak engine. It had lost a lot of compression, so that one's okay. It's just not the best. And then this is the super transmission. This is the original engine that came out of the black Jeep. It has a hole in the side of the block. I think it's on the other side. Oh no, it is right there. There you go. So yeah, that one threw a rod out the side, and then a couple axles from some Jeeps. So I got a bunch of extra just parts. These are like my part shelves for most of the Supra and Jeep stuff.
What if we behind with the fireplace on?
And then yeah, I think the last vehicle I didn't really show you like the inside of. It's not super exciting. I like it, but this one is an older guy that moved to Alaska, left his family with 2 Suzuki Sidekicks, and this one had a lift on it and bigger tires, but it was pretty well taken care of. Paint has a little clear coat oxidation. I'll just buff it up, doesn't bother me. But the rest of it's in really good shape, and there were tons of extra parts. There's some decent quality, like EMU, the old man EMU springs, a whole bunch of extra spacers and stuff, and then like new shocks here. I can't remember everything else, but we had a ton of extra parts just sitting in the back of this thing. Interior is really clean, plastic parts. So yeah, all 3 there, and then over there the speaker grills missing because the guy got new speakers and was gonna install them, but didn't, I guess, get around to it. But those plastic pieces aren't actually missing. They were just in the back, so I have those. Yeah, this is manual. It's 4-wheel drive. Very simple vehicle. Not much to really go wrong on it. But I kind of like these weird little Japanese vehicles. They're fun. So I think that's pretty much it for the shop. I mean, I have tons of unfinished projects in here. You know, come across a good deal, buy it knowing I'm not going to get to it right away, but then I don't get to it for a long time. This is a steel I-beam I got for $40. They're usually $500-600, so I was going to use it for a gantry crane, but it's just been in the way for quite a while. I'll get to that eventually, maybe. Hey, you stop that. Don't be breaking stuff. This is the office. It's, again, another mess. But I just got my computer set up there mostly for CAD stuff. I don't actually do gaming on it. I don't know that anyone really games on a 49-inch ultra wide, but super ultra wide. Great for productivity though. This is like my soldering station. This is a manifold I was wiring up for the air system, and I do a lot of the programming and stuff for the Arduinos, and just do that stuff out here. I got my 3D printers and servers and stuff set up here. This one's just a Plex server. Plex server, it's a, this one's a Plex server. These were, I'm not really using these for anything right now, but I used to have these things going constantly for my security system, and then the other one was a network controller. Yeah, this one is a 24 bay, has 2 extra bays in the back, so 26 total, and yeah, it's the Plex server, so I just have a shit ton of hard drives in there. And just got a couple Bamboo printers. This is another printer I used to have. I took it apart to use the servo motors and everything out of it, and the linear actuators. They're good for other projects.